The Cognitive Constructivism Theory and the Schema Theory by Samantha Downey. The literacy theory that we will be focusing on is the Cognitive Constructivism Theory. This theory focuses on the idea that all learning occurs through an active process of assimilation and accommodation of information by acting on objects or events in the environment. Assimilation, meaning acquiring or gaining knowledge, and accommodation, meaning where to put that new knowledge gained. In other words, learning occurs through experiencing events and activities. The learning theory that stems from the cognitive constructivism theory is the schema theory. Similarly, the schema theory states that schemata, the plural term for schema, are created through experience with people, objects, and events in the world. Schema is a structure of ideas that we have about any given topic. Let's look at an example of how schema works.
Most of the factors that predict whether or not something that is being perceived will also be remembered operate in the first few seconds of learning. One of these factors involves something termed a schema, and whether or not the new learning bumps into one. Let me show you an example of a schema by having Dr. Whitehead and myself read a paragraph to you, one actually taken from a famous research paper. Your job is to remember as many facts about the paragraph as you can. Let me tell you in advance that you are going to fail miserably at this task unless I do something first. I can instantly improve your memory score from between 50 to 100% simply by adding 7 little words before you hear Dr. Whitehead and myself. But I'm not going to do that. You will hear the paragraph first, then I will read you the words. The procedure is actually quite simple. First, you're arranged things into different groups. Of course, one pile may be sufficient depending on how much there is to do. If you have to go somewhere else due to lack of facilities, that is the next step. Otherwise, you are pretty well set. It is important not to overdo things. That is, it is better to do too few things at once than too many. In the short run, this might not seem important, but complications can easily arise. A mistake can be expensive as well. After the procedure is completed, one arranges the materials into different groups again. Then they can be put into their appropriate places. Eventually, they'll be used once more in the whole cycle that has to be repeated. However, that is a part of life. Did you get all that? No? Let us give you now the 7 magic little words. This paragraph is all about washing clothes. What that sentence provides for you is a mental framework, a way of organizing thoughts around some aspect of the world. We call such frameworks schemas, and you have them about people, situations, objects. This means something profound. Prior knowledge can disturbingly shape how you memorize and retain for long-term storage future knowledge. If a schema is triggered near the moment of learning, that learning is more permanent.
Looking back at the video, if they had told you what the paragraph were going to be about, your mind would have already developed ideas about washing clothes. So how are the cognitive constructivism theory and the themis theory related? As a child goes through developmental stages, their schemata increases. For example, when a child first learns the difference between a cat and a lion, at the beginning developmental stages, they might believe that a house cat is the same as a lion. They assume this because they know that the two animals may look similar regardless of size. Through experiences such as a visit to the zoo or reading a wildlife book, they determine that a cat and a lion are different. Through this process, they are increasing schemata and moving along in the developmental stages. The cognitive constructivism theory was first created by Jean Piaget. Piaget was more focused on the mental process of children and not their behavior. Piaget created the 4 stages of development. The first stage of development is the sensory motor stage. This occurs from ages 0 to 2. In this stage, children are learning about their environment and what surrounds them. They discover people, toys, places, etc. In the second stage, known as the pre-operational stage, it occurs from ages 2 to 7. Through this stage, children are acquiring their language skills. They are developing the ability to speak, as well as new vocabulary, and building sentences verbally. The third stage, or concrete operational stage, occurs from ages 7 to 11. Through this stage, children begin to develop their reasoning. They understand why things are occurring. The last stage is known as the formal operational stage. This stage begins at 11 and goes into adulthood. In this stage, children and adults are able to complete higher-level thinking. They are able to give answers and give evidence to support those answers. The schema theory was developed by Richard Anderson. Although the term schema was first noted by Piaget, Anderson fully developed a theory around it. Anderson states that what teachers need to do to activate and enhance schema is to teach general knowledge and generic concepts to strengthen connections between schemata and new ideas. They can do this through discussion, songs, role play, illustration aids, and explanations about how a piece of knowledge applies, and to help learners build prior knowledge. Essentially, schemata is increased when we experience or learn new ideas. In the classroom, teachers can use schemata to build onto new topics. For example, look at the semantic map below. If the teacher writes the term transportation on the board, students can think of the different forms they know of. Students can build off of one another. They can then separate their knowledge, or schema, into subcategories. Teachers also use the cognitive constructivism theory to help build their instruction. For example, kindergarten through first grade classrooms complete many hands-on activities. They also focus on teaching students new vocabulary and community skills. We will now view two different websites that help build schemata in children. The first website was created in the United Kingdom called CBeebies. This website is targeted for students in grades kindergarten through first grade. Since it was created in the United Kingdom, it notes that you are out of the region. Therefore, you can pick any different country that you are from. The United States would be located in the rest of the world. The rest of the world shows you this website in English. However, for those English language learners, you can also choose US Hispanic, which would show you this website in Spanish. Through this website, children can watch videos and develop background knowledge about Kenya, dinosaurs, thunder and lightning, many different things. They can also play games, such as memory games, exploring, jigsaw puzzles. This develops their fine motor skills. They can make time to color. They can listen to stories and listen to the few songs that they do have here. This would be a fantastic way to use any technology devices that you have in the classroom as a center for your students. The second website I have found is to help build schemata in older children, probably grades 2 through 5. The only downside to this website is it must be purchased. This is it purchased for the database for the usage at my school. We can look at animals, biographies, Earth and space, social studies. If we were to click on the biographies, students could look here. They could pick athletes, artists, presidents. If we were to look at the African Americans, they could pick George Washington Carver. They could look at his introduction, his early life, some work that he has done, what he's done in his later years, his contributions, and it also gives related articles. This would be a great website to use if they were to research. This would also work for those students that need accommodations for listening. Strengths and weaknesses. If students progress through the developmental stages developed by Piaget, they will acquire the necessary schemata for later in life and school. If children do not progress and build their schema, the schemata must be rebuilt in the child. Thank you to these references for providing me with the necessary information to comprehend the two theories. Thanks for watching.